Hi, my name is JP McCullough,
And I'm Simona Pastor.
and today we're going to be talking about hundreds of small ideas for future green cities. It seems there isn't an aspect of urbanism and construction in which we haven't failed.
Modernist city design, although intended to create efficient and healthy urban environments by separating work and living zones and incorporating large amounts of open green space, spread so rapidly during the 20th century that we were unable to see and understand all the problems it carried. Fueled by new construction technologies and a desire to solve the problems of overcrowded industrial cities, modernist urbanism envisioned a collective society as organized and standardized urban spaces where everyone would have housing with sanitation, natural light, and clean air. But it failed to promote social equality by concentrating the poor in undesirable areas.
In city centers, freestanding tall buildings separated from the surrounding urban context, with huge open plazas and wide streets, often shift pedestrian movements underground, where parking and metro stations are. This creates a non-walkable, car-dependent environment that does not meet human needs. Contemporary architecture often repeats the same mistakes by emphasizing spectacular sculptural architecture rather than human-scale and people-oriented spaces. With automobiles as the main means of transportation and highways running through the center of cities, traffic became extremely congested. Urban development often demolishes existing neighborhoods, failing to preserve even historic buildings.
One of the greatest problems for cities is the growth of informal urban settlements, often referred to as slums. These areas emerge when people build their own housing outside of formal administrative frameworks, frequently in unsuitable or hazardous locations such as steep hillsides or floodplains. Since they lie beyond the official city grid, they typically lack basic infrastructure, including roads, electricity, clean water, and sewage systems. As they don't exist on city plans, there are no schools, medical facilities, or municipal services such as garbage collections and public transportation. Without legal property rights or effective governance, law enforcement is often limited or inconsistent. Thus, these settlements frequently experience higher levels of crime.
Another major challenge is suburban sprawl, which heavily affects both the economy and the climate. More spread out neighborhoods require more asphalt, pipes, and other materials for roads and infrastructure, which significantly increases maintenance costs and deepens existing funding gaps. More resources and energy are required to build, heat, or cool large houses. Car dependency and long commutes, averaging 2 hours per day, significantly increase pollution and energy use. Sprawling destroys the natural environment, forests, wetlands, and farmlands.
On the other hand, small towns, as walkable mixed use and seemingly better urban spaces, struggle with limited job opportunities. As a result, population and property values tend to decline, reducing the tax revenue needed to support public services such as schools, police, and libraries.
Buildings account for the greatest consumption of clean water and are also the leading contributors to water pollution. Buildings use 40% of the world's energy and emit 50% of greenhouse gases. For every ton of cement used in concrete, 1 ton of CO2 is released into the atmosphere. Natural resource extraction has more than tripled in the past 50 years, driven in part by the increased mining of non-metallic minerals including sand, gravel, and clay, which are key ingredients in masonry construction. Soon, we can expect a global supply shortage for these materials as well. Resources are scarce, especially with population and energy consumption growth. Thus, we desperately need to find solutions to the problem of global consumption and disposal. We need to turn over our over-consuming culture, which is on the edge of catastrophe, into a sustainable and green one.
There are better ways to build. Numerous creative and innovative technologies, practices, and solutions rapidly sprout with the hope that they can lead us to smarter urban designs and a better sustainable future. Many green technologies, materials, and techniques are already in use and have proven effective, providing valuable know-how for architects, engineers, and economic models for investors.
To minimize energy and water consumption, buildings must incorporate multiple internal features. Green roofs are one of the greatest examples of how a feature can have several benefits and a significant impact on better building performance. Green roofs warm and insulate the building in winter while ejecting heat in summer. They filter and retain stormwater, which can be stored in local tanks for later use. Plants reduce CO2 concentration through photosynthesis and improve air quality by absorbing harmful pollutants. They can also attract pollinators, provide food, or offer a park experience. On the contrary, gray roofs absorb sun energy, contributing to the urban heat problem. Biowalls are installations of plants such as moss on vertical outdoor or indoor surfaces, provide natural air purification, insulation, and aesthetic enhancement.
Used water in a building can be treated and pumped back as gray water through parallel pipes in the plumbing system to be reused for flushing toilets, in cooling systems, or for irrigation of green roofs. They can halve the water usage. Geothermal cooling and heating is an environmentally friendly technology that relies on the Earth's stable temperature of about 50 degrees Fahrenheit at a depth of 300 feet to efficiently regulate a building's internal climate. In winter, heat is extracted from water pumped from underground and transferred into the building, while in summer, excess indoor heat is absorbed by water and released back into the earth. This technology does not emit greenhouse gases and offers a stable supply and operating costs.
The development of new materials focuses on their ability to be either decomposable or recyclable and reusable without a reduction in quality. Construction should prioritize materials that are both recycled and recyclable. Natural options, such as wood, are renewable and when sourced locally become even more sustainable by avoiding transportation. Another strategy is to design lightweight structures to minimize material use. The technology of glass has improved recently and its performance is not significantly different than masonry. Now, cement can be substituted with glass up to 45%. Ceramic tinted glass is designed to reflect the highest amount of UV and infrared rays, providing solar heat protection while reducing glare and improving visibility.
Mixed-use community blocks in cities, rather than purely residential apartment buildings, combine housing with stores, offices, restaurants, and green areas. This creates vibrant, people-oriented neighborhoods that offer safety, more social interaction, entertainment, and even local job opportunities. The problems caused by sprawling cities have renewed interest in traditional urban design principles, as past cities functioned better. They were compact places with walkable business centers supported by efficient transit systems. Redevelopment of a suburb that would create higher density through infill approaches, especially if built vertically, and by adaptive reuse and repurposing of existing surplus of properties. In high-density communities like Manhattan, where car use is limited, people tend to walk, bike, or rely on public transportation, which contributes to greater physical activity and better health. By sharing public transportation in multi-use buildings, the individualization of consumption is reduced, resulting in low per capita pollution and energy use.
Public transportation should shift to more sustainable forms, such as electric trains and trams, which have exceptionally low emissions, especially when powered by renewable energy. The public transportation network should have a large coverage, so people will not opt for cars as a more convenient option. Inner-city buses are also highly fuel efficient on a per-passenger basis compared to cars and planes, especially for shorter distances. Cities should promote biking by providing bike racks and rentals. Parking should provide spots equipped with EV charging stations. Urban planning should be on a human scale to ensure walkability.
Still, what we need is the collaborative effort of even more creative ideas and approaches to help heal cities in the future. Architects, urban planners, engineers, and landscape architects must adopt both creative and critical thinking to address existing challenges. With every project, we must aim to make a positive impact on the natural environment while paying attention to every detail that offers an opportunity for improvement. For instance, timber from old buildings can be repurposed into structural elements of a new construction. Cork panels, being carbon negative, durable, and insulative material, can be used for exterior siding or flooring. Glass bottles can be incorporated into distinctive facades to enhance passive heating. Broken tiles, glass, and china can be reused in facades, columns, and floors, forming vibrant mosaics.
As we don't want to repeat mistakes from the past, we must be careful not to create new ones. Every decision should be made with careful consideration of the project's purpose, specific requirements, local and microclimate, and the broader impacts of climate change. No single solution fits every context, which is why it is essential to evaluate how our choices perform over time. By remaining self-critical and questioning our choices, we can keep advancing and improving as professionals. We have catastrophically disrupted nature's processes and cycles. It is essential to recognize ourselves as part of nature rather than merely consumers of its limited resources. To restore this balance, our cities and buildings must incorporate as much organic material as possible and integrate closely with the natural world. We must confront all culminating problems we face and develop intelligent solutions that together may create meaningful change.